Just this last week, actually, they arrested one of the first Chinese hackers. This individual is, of course, breaching military systems and so on. Right during that, they arrested other alleged Chinese spies. These individuals were trying to steal missile technology, apparently, and they were also involved in trying to get spies within our own military. Around this same time, we hear other stories. China, of course, in their own state-run media announced they will not allow Russia to lose the war against Ukraine. The reason is they want to keep the war going because they're worried America will pivot its military to focus on the Chinese Communist Party. We know that ahead of the October 7th attack against Israel, what happened? The Chinese Communist Party met with the leaders of one of the main terrorist organizations in that area. Same thing we saw with the Taliban. Right before the Taliban went and took over Bagram Airport and undid everything our veterans fought so hard to accomplish in Afghanistan, the Chinese Communist Party met with the leaders of the Taliban. Recently as well, what happened? Chinese individuals were caught laundering money, at least accused, when it came to the drug cartels. We hear the Chinese Communist Party is the main force behind the drug trade. They supply the precursors, they supply of course, synthetic drugs, and they do the money laundering. What I find most interesting, though, is nobody talks about what ties all of this together. What is the big picture? Why are they doing it? And when you talk to individuals who work in each individual case, it's like the elephant in the room. Everyone's feeling one little part of it, but nobody can tell you what creature we're looking at. So my work as an investigative reporter started when I was probably the same age as a lot of you here. I was still a student. And back, a long time ago now, back in 2008, I accidentally uncovered one of the largest Chinese spy networks in the United States, which was, of course, the United Front Work Department. This was tied in with the Chinese consulates. It was also tied in with the Chinese mafia. And what I uncovered over time was a large-scale program to infiltrate our government. This included bussing around voters for elections. This included getting straw donors for political campaigns. This included trying to bribe and blackmail government officials. This included programs to invite business leaders on trips to China. And if you look at the entire picture, what was this? This was a system still in place as we speak to infiltrate our government and make it not represent the American people, but to instead represent a foreign government. And I know that's a lot. How does this all work? If you want to understand what's really going on in the world when it comes to China, let's start with the farmland. We can go back to last year. Congress actually released a report on it. Republicans in Congress had a big hearing. They brought together 24 heads of government agencies, among them the head of the USDA. And what did they say? They said China is trying to take over America's food supply. That was the reason they're buying up the farmland. Why are they doing that? Two different reasons. On one side, it's because, well, the Chinese Communist Party, they've essentially destroyed the environment in China. They have swine flu, they have avian flu because of soil pollution, because of water pollution. They've relinquished their programs for grain self-sufficiency. They need to import their food. And what are they doing? Well, they're getting countries in debt traps. They're bribing governments in Africa and Latin America. When they default on the loans, they gain control of the natural resources, of course, rare earth minerals being among them, but also farmland. When they do that, they effectively control the food supply in those countries. They hold the lives of the countries in their hands. And they've been doing it in the United States as well. They've been buying up farmland in the United States, according to the U.S. congressional report last year, because they want to take the food, grow it here, and send it back to China. During COVID-19, when there were American meat processors who shut down and said there's not enough meat for the American people, members of Congress sent letters to those companies asking, why are you telling Americans there's not enough food for Americans, but you have record amounts of food and meat being sent to China? You're telling us you can't feed us, but you're saying you can send it over to the Chinese Communist Party? How does that work? What this all ties into is a program I briefly mentioned, the United Front Work Department. And what is this and how does it really work? Because, as I mentioned, USDA farmland, the report last year, it wasn't just that. They found across our entire government, 24 U.S. government agencies, The Chinese Communist Party is infiltrating, it is bribing, it is buying people off, it is subverting. This is, we talk about Epstein, this is honey traps, this is debt traps, it's business deals. Maybe your cousin or your wife or your brother or your son gets an advisory role in a Chinese company and they pay you through that. This is the taking over of our government without having to invade it. The exact slogan of the United Front Work Department, the exact mission of it, is to overtake what they call the civil society. This is how you conquer a country without invading a country. This is how we will lose our country if we don't wake up. What does that mean? The theory of Chinese espionage, of the Chinese Communist Party, is this. What is that which constitutes a government? Well, our Constitution, of course. The Constitution lays out what defines our government, how it works, our laws, our protections, and so on. But how does that actually get implemented? That is the civil society. That is your politicians, it's your business leaders, it's your ideological leaders. Think your YouTubers, your TikTokers, and other agents of influence, or your business leaders. If you can take those people, if you can win them over and serve the interests of another system, you control the country. You've created a puppet state. And think about what's happening. The United Front actively goes to every government official, invites them on trips to China, and then tries to bribe them or blackmail them. In fact, they do this pretty aggressively. They do it to business leaders. And why is it that businesses, Hollywood, cannot create a film and get it shown in China without co-producing with the Chinese Communist Party? They have to show core socialist values. A basketball player cannot write on his shoe a message against current-day slavery in Xinjiang province in China because it offends the Chinese Communist Party, while other players are kneeling in criticism of the United States in slavery over 100 years ago. So they can't criticize, of course, the Chinese Communist Party in current-day slavery, but they can criticize the United States. The CCP recently, they have a program inviting YouTubers on trips to China, anyone over 300,000 views. The element which ties all of this together is a program to subvert our country, to make these people serve the interests of a foreign government while masquerading as having us still remain a free country. And of course, my work at the Epoch Times has been actively exposing this for the past almost, 20 years. And I can tell you all right now, for all the aspiring journalists out there, you can do it too. To stand up for what this country is, to stand up for what we are as a nation, take up the mantle of an investigative journalist. If you want to do your own work, it is there for you. And again, God bless America, because I do think the true battle in this world is between freedom and socialism. And the way that manifests right now in front of our eyes is the battle between the free world and the communist world. And that battle is defined as the United States against the Chinese Communist Party. So thank you very much.